Today we're going to be taking on the hardest job in the world, fixing the Cleveland Browns. From the coaching decisions all the way to the mock draft, we're going to be doing a complete offseason rebuild. And without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, first up, we got to go over these coaching options. Right now, the favorite is Grant Udinski, the Jags offensive coordinator. Kind of an interesting one. Feels like kind of out of the blue. I didn't really hear him in a lot of these discussions, but he's the favorite right now. You also got their defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, who I think did a really good job this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a few other guys who, pretty unlikely, but guys that they've interviewed. Nathan, I think it's Chelsea, the Rams pass game offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, and Jesse Minter.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting options here, especially since the favorite is someone that I just don't ever hear talked about, like you said. Like, a few days ago, I didn't even really know his name. Like, that much not talked about until Adam Schefter reported about him being the favorite. It's when I first really started learning about it. I mean, he's done a good job, don't get me wrong, whether it's him or Liam Cohen. But Liam Cohen also is the one that calls plays. You know, he's an offensive-minded guy. So how much is the OC really doing over there? I'm not so sure. But I do think this brings up an interesting conversation of, you know, is the offensive guy or the defensive guy the right pick for the Browns? Because on this list, I hear a lot of defensive guys, right? You know, you got their DC. You've got the Rams DC, right? I think.
No, we also have Jesse Minter, the Chargers DC.
Oh, sorry. The Chargers DC. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job this season as well.
Yeah, I think he's the front runner for the Ravens job right now.
But I think that ultimately this defense was good. Right,
amazing.
This season. It was a very good defense. I can't imagine what it would have done if they got to sit on the bench for a little bit and rest in between drives. Instead, they were right back out there every single possession, whether it was from quarterbacks throwing an interception or punting right away. But they were on the field a lot, and they still held these teams to low amount of points, yards, all the stats. They were phenomenal. And Myles Garrett obviously broke the sack record this season. Phenomenal season from him. But like it begs the question, are you really trying to get another defensive guy in here, or is it smarter to keep the DC as a DC if he doesn't go anywhere else and maybe get an offensive mind in here? Because if we think about what the Browns have been missing for the last ever, it's offense, right? Like you think of, the 18 or so quarterbacks they've had in the 2000s or whatever it is, like crazy amount of quarterbacks. It's more than 18, but, and you think of how bad their offense has been, how they've fumbled every opportunity they've had. They lost Baker because of how they handled that situation. They brought in Deshaun Watson, which we're going to talk about plenty later, but that obviously hasn't worked out. You drafted two quarterbacks this season, maybe haven't looked at the greatest. And it's just like, we want someone in here maybe to develop these young guys, these young quarterbacks. Maybe you're going to, obviously we're going to want to get some young offensive talent in here in the organization, and you want the right guy to develop that. And so in my opinion, I think it makes a lot of sense to look towards an offensive guy rather than a defensive one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just moved off Kevin Stefanski. He is the stable guy. He's going to be a good coach. He's not going to be an elite coach, and he won't be a bad coach. So obviously I think they need to get a guy who's like pretty risky, high risk, high reward kind of guy. I think that's exactly who he is. I think that's a good hire for them. I don't know too much about what he's actually done for the Jaguars, as you said, with Liam Cohen calling plays. But, I mean, that Jags offense was really good. Trevor Lawrence looked amazing, which he hasn't done in his entire career, dating back to all the way back to what? I guess just his rookie year. Was that his best year?
I think it was his second year when he went to the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the year they beat the Chargers. And so I'd assume that was his best year. But like you said, Trevor Lawrence just looked way better this season.
Yeah, I don't know if Jim Schwartz is sticking around for DC. I thought he left. I thought I saw a report about that, but maybe not.
Maybe he's coming back.
But, yeah, I mean, he was the head coach for the Lions, I think, 2010-ish. Didn't work out at all. I think he was only there for like 4 years.
And ultimately, what it is this defense has a ton of talent, like so much talent. And their defense has been really good or solid for most years in the last decade that I can think of. And it obviously was very good this season, but I'm way more confident that with the pieces they have on defense, they can find someone to run that defense confidently than I am with this offense. You got to get the right mind in here. And so if you're confident, like this guy is the favorite for a reason. And so we're like, maybe he didn't do too much here. Ultimately, we don't know. like how much he was doing. And the Browns are obviously going to get a lot more information on that through these interviews. I think they've already done 2 with him, or maybe they're bringing him in for that second interview. And so if they like what they heard from this guy, I think this is a great hire for them. Because like you said, they just need to take that risk of trying to get that elite offensive mind in here to develop the players, especially with this cap situation. It's so bad that like it's going to be hard to bring talent in for the next a long time to bring talent in unless it's through the draft. And so that means developing your young guys, putting them in a system to succeed. And that's exactly what an elite offensive mind does. So you're trying to look for that this season. Like you said, the Jags offensive game plan and just game has been so much better this season, right? So was there even any other OCs on there?
Mike McDaniel is obviously offensive mind, but I don't think he's like a leader of men type guy. He's more of just like guy I want as my OC for play calling, play designing, rather than leading the organization.
That's what we kind of learned with the Dolphins is maybe he's not the best head coach, but more of an OC type of guy. What I thought or the Lions took the Cardinals OC, right? I can't believe he didn't go to that job, by the way. Like,
I mean, I don't know how Petzing got that job. He's so bad.
I don't know how he got it over Mike McDaniel, but like I think that Mike McDaniel going to any open OC job is just an amazing opportunity for people. So if we were hiring a DC as the coach, I think that would be my number one option for the OC, right? You could have someone run the offense and have that defense strong. But like, we've been talking about for a little while now, like it just makes more sense in my head to just go the route of the OC, get that guy in there. If you like him, obviously, I just don't know. I wish we could sit in on the interviews and figure that stuff out, but we can't. But it does seem like now that that's the route they're going to go anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jim Schwartz would be the best hire. He's already not worked as a head coach, and maybe he's just a better defensive coordinator. So if you can keep him around and get an offensive mind, that's obviously the ideal situation.
I think Jesse Minter's interesting because I think that if we're just being blunt about it, the Chargers defense, doesn't have some of the talent that these other top defenses do. Like, you think of them next, obviously they're not on the same level, but you think of them next to the Texans defense and just look at the personnel difference. I mean, it's insane. Their D-line is 15 times better than the Chargers. Their secondary is way better than the Chargers. And obviously they are a better defense than the Chargers by a pretty good margin. But this Chargers defense, in my opinion, was top 5, and I think it was very arguably top 5, right? So the fact that he was able to do that with, like, obviously you got Khalil Mack, who's very old. And that's, you've got Tui Pelotu. I think that's how you say his name, correct? And he was obviously very good this season. You got a lot out of him. In the secondary, you've got a lot of young guys, and then Derwin James, and that's about it. And then you've got Dion Henley, who was also able to get a lot out of him this season. And so, maybe not big names. You got some really talented players in there. Derwin's obviously very talented. Dion Henley's really good. But ultimately, like, these guys, a lot of the people on the Chargers weren't expected to be that great, or were expected less out of them, and they got so much out of their players. And so Jesse Minter being able to do that is very interesting. And, that type of development is what you see from head coaches, like a leader of men, like you were trying to say. I think that OCs and DCs if they're just meant to be a coordinator, like they're just good at coordinating, then you don't see a lot of development out of the guys that they're coaching, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Like if you're a head coach, you get the best out of your players. You develop them the best. And I think that is a good sign that Jesse Minter could be a good coach. And he's learned a lot under Jim Harbaugh, who's obviously been a great coach at every level that he's ever coached at. So I think he's a super interesting hire. I just don't think he's a super interesting hire for the Browns.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if they wanted to go with the defensive mind, they just keep Jim Schwartz.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, I think Grant Udinski is probably going to be their hire. And I think that's where we should go here.
I 100% agree. It's most realistic, and it is very risky. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and I like that.
Super
I think
risky,
that's what they
but
need.
That's what the Browns need. So they need, eventually one of their risks is going to hit, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the best coaches in the league. You're not going to hire one by taking a proven commodity that you already have, like Jim Schwartz. He's not going to be one of the best head coaches in the league. And at the end of the day, if you miss on him, the Browns are not in the best spot. So you fire him in 2 years and you should try again.
Yep.
So it's not that big of a deal.
Yep, I 100% agree. So we're going with, Grant Udinski. I always call him Ulinski for some reason. So
what?
I don't know why, but Udinski. And what's the next thing?
Next up, we need to go through the players on the roster to decide what we need. Our franchise cornerstones, in my opinion, Quinshon Judkins, just picked him in the second round. it's hard to work when you don't have a passing game, so his stats aren't the best, but he's really surprised both of us. We were a bit lower on him coming out of the draft, and I think he's proven to be definitely an RB1, plus you have like a few other guys in there. Raheem Sanders, you have Dylan Sampson. I think
they had a lot of guys get work this season, especially when Judkins went down.
Mm-hmm.
And Judkins looked a lot better to start the year for sure when Gabriel was in there and that whole situation, which we'll talk about more later. But did really struggle towards the end of the year, the last half of the year. I think his average is down to like 3.8 or something, which isn't great.
Definitely starts with a 3.
But 100% not all his fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm not as high on Judkins as some others possibly, I do think he has surprised me positively. He's definitely a solid back. I don't think I would ever have him as, like, I don't think the Browns should look for him to be their bell cow. I think he should be in a committee, but I think he can be a really good part of a committee.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping Dylan Sampson takes that step and is able to, get some of the touches from Judkins.
Just turned 21, right? So he's got plenty of time.
Yeah, and then we got Harold Fannin, who's proven to be top 10 tight end in the league right now.
He's awesome.
He's crazy.
I love Harold Fannin.
I mean, no one else in that receiving room, no one could produce except for Harold Fannin, who's getting a touchdown, it seemed like, every week at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. So good. So good.
Breaks so many tackles. He's such a weird build. He's like 6'3", like 230?
I just heard no one talk about him because he's behind Njoku. Everyone obviously thought that was going to be a big thing, but he's just been so much better than David Njoku. And I mean, he's connected with all three quarterbacks. Flacco played, and then everyone's like, oh, well, he's just going to throw to David Njoku because he likes David Njoku. And Harold Fannin got more targets, and everyone was like, what? And then it was Dylan Gabriel. It was like, oh, Njoku's going to come back. And it was just Harold Fannin again. And then obviously people expected it by the time Shador was starting, but he was just able to be the favorite target of all three, and it wasn't close, right? And maybe that's a big help thanks to the fact that there's not really other targets to choose from. But Harold Fannin on the offense where he's the only target with lackluster quarterback play with, just not a great situation. And honestly, where they run so many screens and like runs, like they run the ball a lot. I don't know if people know that, but they run like a lot. And they also throw a ton of screens. And yet he's still able to get downfield on the very limited plays he gets opportunities to and make something out of them. So I can't, I feel like he's just going to be so good when he finally gets opportunities to play next to people that can also get open, that he can get opportunities to run down the field and run real routes. He's going to be a great piece.
Yeah, for sure. We also have Mason Graham. They took him 5th overall. We have an extra first piece. They took him. They traded back. But he's been a little bit underwhelming this season. I still think he's going to be a great defensive tackle.
Right.
Obviously, franchise cornerstone for them. Myles Garrett, Juwan Depoy had maybe the best season of all time by an edge rusher. Obviously. He's like 30-something, but...
What was it, 23 sacks? 23 and a half?
23 and a half, I think.
Which just ridiculous.
Kind of fake. I mean, I don't like the argument for 17 games. I think he only played 16, so I think that's not fair to make that argument, but there was a play where...
no, I think he played all 17.
No, I think I saw someone... Oh, no, he did it in way less snaps than everyone.
Yes, it was way less. Like 200 less snaps than T.J. Watt's 22.
So I still think it was pretty valid, but also they gave him a half a sack that he didn't touch near the end of the season.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one where Allen fell over? Mason Graham rushed there and got him right before him, and then everyone was really mad at him for some reason. I think that was his only sack, too, Mason Graham.
Oh, really? The whole season?
Yeah, but it's hard to get sacks with Myles Garrett taking all of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously phenomenal season. Obvious cornerstone there. I mean, he's getting older.
Even though he's old. I mean, he just had his best year of his career. No reason to think he's falling off right now.
Yeah. No idea how much longer he'll be like this, but hopefully you can get at least in playoff contention by the time he's still good.
I mean, maybe. We'll see. Denzel Ward, obviously, for his whole career, been a top 10 corner around the 10th range, but still pretty good.
Really good season this season, too.
Grant Delpit, I really like him. I think really hard-hitting safety. Always seems to be around the ball. Carson Schlesinger is the favorite for D-Roy right now. I don't think he deserves it, but also great linebacker season. Pretty surprising that he got recognized for that. Normally linebackers don't.
And he's been very good.
Yeah,
even if we say that he doesn't deserve D-Roy, that's not a dock on him. It's just that I think there's been 3 or 4 really good defensive rookies this season. Like, I don't see anyone talking about James Pierce.
You said 10.5 sacks.
10.5 sacks is a great season, especially for a edge rusher that everyone was like, oh, well, this pass rush is going to be horrible, just like last season. I mean, he completely transformed it. Obviously, it was more than just him, but I mean, this pass rush has been like really bad the last few seasons.
Oh yeah, they were like getting like 40-something a season a few years ago.
Right, like horrible. I mean, it's not as bad as the Niners this season. They had like less than 20 or something.
I think maybe they ended up hitting 20 at the
Like
end.
crazy.
But that's really bad.
But that's because they had
That's
like
historically
6
bad.
people get hurt on the D line. Like that's the only reason that ended up happening. The Falcons are over here with a fully healthy team getting like 35, 37, in a season, and that's really bad. So, be able to come in, James Pierce, and be that good right away is such a big thing for them. I just don't get why no one talks about him.
Yeah.
Xavier Watts, another really good
He
pick.
does not deserve it.
5 interceptions.
He's obviously always seems to be there with the football, but he doesn't make enough plays outside of his picks for me to consider him.
I agree, but
I'm surprised he's not more talked about, though.
Exactly, because of the interceptions. But I definitely don't think I would pick. But he's still been very good this season. And then Nicky Memori's also been an amazing safety for them. And I feel like I'm forgetting someone else, but
I think Eamon and Pierce are the only two I'd have over Schlesinger.
which is totally fair. But like again, Schlesinger's been
It's a
great.
really good defensive class after at the beginning of the year did not look like it.
Yeah, and I mean, Schlesinger is going to be good for a long time. I mean, this guy plays physical. He's flying around with the football. It's exactly what you want out of your linebacker, and he's done a great job of it in his first
They
year.
really needed him to hit because I don't know what's up with JOK. Always getting out for the year every year. He didn't even play at all this year.
So unfortunate because he's so
Yeah.
talented.
I think he'd be like a top 5 linebacker right now if he didn't keep getting hurt.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
unfortunate.
I have a question mark next to JOK because if he was
If he's healthy.
JOK.
Oh my gosh.
But if he was okay, and he was always healthy, he played 14 games a year, he'd definitely be on here. But
Right, but he doesn't even play. I mean, he's sitting out like half the seasons at this point, like full seasons, which is just, like I said, so sad because this guy is so talented. He can play multiple positions. He's such a good hybrid, and I think that he is just elite at what he does. And he's still a good age. Like you could
he's like, what, 25, 26 maybe?
I think he's like 26 now, but
I think he's already been extended, which kind of sucks. But
like, so he can still be great, right? He's got that time, but ultimately it just feels like one of those careers that's going to end because of injuries, and it's so unfortunate. And I really hope that he can come back next year and be healthy and play great. And him and Schlesinger together would be awesome because this defense would be so good if Graham took a step, and then you have Graham on the inside, you got Myles Garrett, you've got those 2 linebackers, you got Denzel Ward and Delpit in the secondary. I mean, it could be awesome. And then you also have Devin Bush, and if Devin Bush stays around, then you've got JOK playing multiple positions, just moving him around the field like he should be, like in a hybrid role, and then you've just got like this elite defense with like crazy game planning abilities because you've got these 3 linebackers that can move around. You got 2 very athletic ones in JOK and Devin Bush. So really hope that JOK, I mean, if he's healthy, 100% a franchise cornerstone.
yeah, I also want to. They have some other Malik Collins. He's a bit too old to be a cornerstone. He might be up this. I don't think he's up this year.
He's been great this season.
Yeah, he's been great this season. Isaiah McGuire, my guy. He's like 24. He's been really good this season when he's been getting on the field. I think he played only 500 snaps or something like that, which is still pretty solid.
500 is a good amount. Garrett only had like 600 something.
Really? Yeah, but he's a phenomenal run defender. Really good next to Myles Garrett.
Oh no, Garrett had 600 pass rush snaps. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
I was like 500 sounds very close. Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy, I don't know what we're gonna do with him. I mean, they're paying him like a cornerstone. They need him to be a cornerstone. They don't have any other receivers.
He just doesn't try. He's clearly so talented. I mean, he's a phenomenal route runner when he gives
He had 1,300 yards 2 years ago or whatever.
Like he is so good at running. This is the same way he was in Denver, same way he was in college. Especially in Denver, like we could see the route running. Everyone, like every 3 games, he would just pull out this disgusting route, and we'd be like, "Why don't you just do that every time? Like run nice routes. That's why you got drafted. Is because of your route running." And he would just drop the ball. He would just give up on plays. He wouldn't have that effort, that drive. I mean, I remember. I'll never forget this. I was watching a game. It was the game where Russ got hurt against the Chiefs, and we were playing the Chiefs, and something happened. It might have been right after Russ got hurt. It might have been because he got hit and they didn't throw a flag or something. But he got up just livid. I mean, he threw his helmet off. He was screaming just everywhere. Screaming, went over to the ref, started screaming at him, walked to the sideline, came back, and he just cooked the rest of the game because he was so into the game. He was passionate about the game all of a sudden. When he cares, he's so good. He just doesn't care most of the time. Like, I'm watching him on the Browns. It looks like
he does not care.
He's jogging.
He's in autopilot.
He doesn't care. He's not running. I mean, most of the time, he knows the ball's nowhere close to him because they're running a screen, they're running the ball. So he's not even trying. And then when he gets downfield, a lot of the time, the ball's not able to get there. And so,
or he's getting down the field like Someone swapped the ball out.
Yeah, so
Whatever that was.
or he's running down the field and then he just stops mid route or something. Like he just doesn't care, and that's just unacceptable for a guy that is that talented and getting paid that much. And again, I do think he's got so much talent. He can be easily a top 32 receiver in this league. He just does not give a crap. And so if you can get the right coach in there, maybe you can fix that. But we've been saying that about Jerry Jeudy for about 4 or 5 coaches now. So.
Yeah. I'd also say Tyson Campbell. Obviously, this is not the cornerstones. This is just players that I think are pieces going forward. They just traded for him. He looked really good after they traded for him. Isaiah Bond, a bit of obviously not as good as these other players, but I think
It's a good pickup.
wide receiver 4. I'd feel pretty good about that.
I also like all these offensive players. We have to see them when they get in a real offense. I mean, this offense was horrible.
Yeah,
So
it's a joke.
Isaiah Bond had moments where he looks like, oh, that was really nice. So
Yeah.
you never know. And it was just an undrafted free agent. So
And Aiden Huntington, an underrated player on the interior that they drafted in the late rounds of this draft. He's going to be maybe starting for them, maybe just a rotational guy. I think he's a nice player. So I think those are all the super valuable pieces we have that we need to talk about.
I mean, unlike the Raiders and Jets ones, which if you haven't gone and watched those, make sure you go watch those. Those were a lot of fun to do and very different from these because it's just unlike those. We have a lot of pieces,
but we have no cap room.
Like the Raiders, for example, have nobody, right, that we wanted to go moving forward. But we could sign as many free agents as we want. We had the first overall pick. We were sitting pretty with that stuff. This one, we have to be creative. We got to restructure. We've got to open up cap room just to get under the cap, much less sign people. And you've got 2 first-round picks. Everything that's going to be built is going to be through the draft and the current players on our roster, which I think is very different from what we've done in the past.
Yeah, for sure. Normally, they have already spent the cap room that we've already spent the cap room for the Browns. And for them, we are the ones that get to spend it. But
instead of spending it, we're trying to save money.
Yeah.
We're trying to get rid of the money they're spending instead of spending their money.
Deshaun Watson's cap hit this year is $81 million. That's a joke number.
That can't be real. That's like Madden stuff.
Yeah, at the time of signing him, what was the idea there? Even if he was elite, you're paying him $81 million. He's not. No one's worth $81 million.
You can't win a Super Bowl with someone being paid $81 million. Maybe in 25 years when quarterback's getting paid $81 million. But it's not 25 years later. It's right now, and that would be the highest paid quarterback by about $30 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, and Deshaun Watson was never the best quarterback in the league. As good as I think he was.
He was
on the
top
Texans.
5?
Right, but he wasn't even the best quarterback in the league. And you're paying
they did that off of his whole situation, afterwards?
Situation. No, he hadn't played in over a year.
Yeah, it's insane.
They traded multiple firsts. I think it was 2 or 3 to get him.
Texans now in a great spot because of it.
Texans
if
are
Stroud can work out.
I mean, anyone who ever says the Russ trade is the worst trade in NFL history, can someone just come look at this, please? I mean, this is the worst contract I've ever seen.
I think I feel like it was fully guaranteed.
This is the worst contract I've seen in Madden. I'd be like, what? This is a joke. This is when you crank up 7-year, you do $20 million on each of them, and you just give it to the guy. The max you can.
Yeah, I'd rather throw $20 million a year in the garbage.
Right.
But this is $80 million $80 million this year in the garbage.
I mean, that makes this so much harder. You only have a set amount of room that you're allowed to use, and $80 million of it is going to a guy that is guaranteed not to play next season.
What if he wins the job?
Just kidding.
Not happening.
Right. So absolutely crazy to me that this is what we're dealing with. I mean, I think about the Broncos. We're still paying Russ. He's the highest paid player on our roster, which is a horrible situation, obviously. But we've been able to get out of that. It's only $35 million, I think, on the cap this year. It's a lot of money, but that's doable. Especially when you got a rookie quarterback. You've got a lot of young pieces, a lot of guys that you think are undervalued in the market that you're paying. And I think that's the way we had to approach that because of that. The Browns are 3x that almost, right? And they have players that are getting paid a ton of money, like Myles Garrett. You've got Jerry Jeudy being way overpaid, and you've got players you got to extend. They're just in a horrible spot with this. And it's so weird because when you have as many good young pieces, you'd think you'd be in a decent spot. But they're in just a horrible, horrible spot. They're like Saints cap.
I think it's worse because Watson's fully guaranteed.
It's insane. Why would you fully guarantee someone?
Well, he was the first one to. I think he's the only one still to ever be fully guaranteed. It just didn't make sense for him because you're guaranteeing someone who's the least guaranteed thing ever, the biggest risk. It made no sense.
Right. It actually makes none.
Speaking of that, we have to go over our quarterback options so we can kind of decide how we want to approach this offseason. We obviously got the 3 quarterbacks on roster. Deshaun Watson, maybe we want to try to develop him. Just kidding. But we got Gabriel, Shador. Could sign Malik Willis. I don't think that's an option for this team. They're broke. Some trade guys, Tanner McKee, Mac Jones. Or you could sign Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, or draft Ty Simpson, Drew Aller, and Trinidad Chambliss.
So there's a lot of options here.
Yes.
A lot. And I think that any way we go with this, there's going to be people in the comments that are like, why would you do that?
They would never do that.
Yes. Can we just remind you of what we just talked about for 5 minutes about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah, no one would ever have done that.
They can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But not to mention that I just think this is such a hard spot. When it's this type of situation, you're just taking a flyer, man.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, in the most respectful way possible, really like Shador Sanders. And that is completely okay. You can like Shador Sanders a lot. But ultimately, he was a 5th-round pick, so he doesn't have that much...
we're not tied to him at all.
Right. Like, you're not tied to the guy like you are if he went in the 1st-round pick. Right. Like, you just took a chance. I know a lot of people, like, the situation wasn't good, and if you think Shador still has got it, that's great, because, the offensive line or this or that. But ultimately, if that's the case, because there's no denying that Shador Sanders' stats are terrible. Like, this season, his stats were bad. What was it, 12 QBR or something crazy? Like, really bad QBR. Like, 7 touchdowns, like 11 picks or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, just not a great season. And it's fine. He's a rookie. Like, you've got plenty of time. And, people are blaming it on the fact that it's the team. If that's the case, though, I think what people are failing to realize is that Dylan Gabriel, who had a lot better of stats, whether you think he was better on the field or not, played with the same team. Mm-hmm. And so both these guys are, if one of them is going to get a second opportunity, they both are going to get a second opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of that, right? So I think that if we're keeping Shador, we're also keeping Dylan Gabriel. And that's what I think people are going to be upset about that. And they will, like...
Dude, neither of these guys are leaving. They're both going to be on the team this year.
We can sit here all day and argue about who's going to start or who is better. And obviously people have very strong opinions on that. But ultimately, that's up to the coach, Mm-hmm. And so our job is to put the pieces in place for him to make the best decision for the team. Mm-hmm. And I think that even if we want to add another quarterback to the roster, like you said, these 2 guys are staying and they're competing for the job next year. Mm-hmm. And it's just about, do we want to bring in that 3rd guy? And bringing that 3rd guy, like you said, we're broke. We're not bringing Malik Willis. Do we really want to bring in a guy like Zach Wilson to come compete? A Trey Lance who wow, he looked bad. Like, I only played us, but like, like, it looked horrible. I mean, I think that there are some interesting options in the draft. I'm a big fan of Trinidad Chambliss. I know that was not a popular take in our last video, but I do like what I've seen from him, and I think he's an interesting flyer. But then there's also talking about the fact that they just took 2 very similar like flyers on quarterbacks that are in that range. And so it's, what are you looking for next season? Do you want to get the veteran presence in there? Do you want to just have the 3 young guys compete it and, battle it out and see which one's best? And if, spend the whole season playing all 3 of them, like, what's the situation we want to go for?
Mm-hmm. I think Ty Simpson doesn't make sense just because I think he's going to be a 2nd-round pick. I think we need to use this. Our most valuable capital needs to be built like on players that we actually think have a really good chance of being mainstays on this roster.
Especially since we're going to have to let people go due to the cap.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of free agents, a lot of starters. The entire Browns starting offensive line basically is going to free agency, and we do not have money to keep them. Mm-hmm. We need to be spending it on offensive linemen, wide receivers, pretty much it. Maybe like a corner or something.
Right.
But yeah, we have no cap space to sign these guys, and we need to draft everyone. So Ty Simpson being a 2nd-round pick, that's like a huge portion of our actual capital we have to spend since we can't spend free agents. Yeah. But Drew Aller, I think, could make some sense if he fell in the draft to like the 5th or 6th round. But
he just didn't look good this season.
Yeah, but you're drafting him off of last season's film, especially last season before the playoffs.
See, I don't love that philosophy because, like, well, we should just ignore this last year. We should go to the year prior.
Yeah, but you look, he has a lot of talent. And you look
I'm not saying that he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, but he's like QB5 right now because of how bad this QB class is.
Right, but I don't think he even gets a shot over these two guys, if I'm being completely honest.
I think everyone gets a shot in this quarterback room.
I mean in training camp he will. However, in the regular season,
If he's the best quarterback in training camp, he's going to be the regular season starter.
I don't know. This is such a weird situation. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to see anything like this again. Because it's very rare that you see them keep two young guys that don't have, like, a veteran at all. Like, they have no one teaching them. They're just by themselves. With,
Yeah, I mean, they had
who's the third
Flacco.
one? They had for, like, 3 weeks.
They had Huntley for a while. They had.
Ooh.
They obviously still have Deshaun Watson.
Oh, right. I guess he's the veteran in the room. So
Not a
that
good-
brings
not
up
a
another
good
interesting
example.
point. They're not going to keep more than 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
They could. Also,
They're
like,
not keeping 4.
Watson last year just randomly had convenient injury and just went on IR the whole year.
We
or a
didn't
lot
think
of
he
the
would keep. They would keep 3
year.
because, obviously with Watson on IR that made it easier. But they're not going to keep 4 without an injury. So that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but I think at this point, adding options in free agency or by trade is not really an option for this team.
Right.
So I think we just gotta hope one of the quarterbacks falls in the draft. Like maybe Simpson, Chambliss, one of them falls in the third round. We could consider it, but
And then we'll talk about that obviously when we get to the mock draft portion of this video. But I think that it's important, like you said, to make the decision now that we are not getting a quarterback for agency. It's just not even it's not even really up to us. That's just not really possible without being really, really broke and in debt. So ultimately, I think that is the right decision.
all right. So right now the Browns are negative $26.5 million.
Jeez.
They're $26.5 million over the cap. So we got to restructure some guys. I think this list of guys, if we restructure all of them, saves $30 million, which gives us $3.5 million to work with. I think that is with counting their rookie class that they're going to pay. I think that's how they do it. So I think we'll have just $3.5 million to play with in free agency and re-signing, which is absolutely terrible. But Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Jerry Jeudy, Grant Delpit, JOK, Emily Collins, all those restructured. Gets you $30 million.
That's so many.
Yeah, well, how you do it with restructures is you only want to do players you actually want to keep around.
Because you have to push it back. So
Jerry Judy's a bit of a risk, but
there's so much money there, though, that you have to. And ultimately, you're not going to get rid of him. Like, no one's trading for the guy, so.
I don't know.
And I think that they still hope they can get stuff out of him because he showed that
I mean,
talent.
you have to.
Right.
Isaiah Bond's their wide receiver 2 right now.
That's crazy.
Cedric Tillman with his 250 yards is our wide receiver 3.
Hey, don't hate on Cedric Tillman. You loved him at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So,
When their offense was functional, he looked okay.
which I'm sure we'll add a receiver today, hopefully.
At least one.
We'll see. So, it's just this is so different from any other rebuild you're ever going to do and we're ever going to do because there's really nothing in free agency. I mean, the biggest moves in free agency the Browns will make this offseason is restructuring their guys and extending certain people to where they don't lose too much money. And so I think an interesting topic to bring up because, there's is in David Njoku. Because I know some people think they're going to extend him and stuff, but
That could save money if they extended him.
But also, does it really make sense to extend him? I mean, you've got Harold Fannin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a chance they could trade David Njoku for something.
David Njoku's up.
Oh, he's a free agent this year. Okay, interesting. Well,
So I think you just let him walk.
right,
You don't have the money to pay him.
right. So then you,
But I think they already pushed his money back and they have void years, which is why it would save you money.
okay,
So it's kind of weird.
that is super weird.
Yeah, but it would also, you'd add to the void. The void wouldn't be part of the deal, so we'd be getting paid that plus the deal, and it'd all be backloaded. So it'd be just a terrible contract if they did it.
This is the confusing part about the NFL. I mean, salary cap is just so confusing to me. I just kind of have other people explain it to me in dumber down terms because I just don't get it.
It's hard to understand. There's
Especially
so
when
many
Madden
things.
does it wrong. Okay, I grew up playing Madden, and it's not even kind of similar, and so they just lie to you, and so then I think it's like Madden, but it's not at all. So then I get pissed off. But it's just confusing. Either way, I just don't think it makes sense to bring back David Njoku. I don't really want David.
We have
Njoku on this
$3.5
team.
million, so we're gonna be able to bring back 1, maybe 2 guys,
Well,
and on backloaded deals.
yeah. So let's go over the options of
Okay.
who we want.
Ronnie Hickman is a restricted free agent, which means you can put a tender on them, like a 4th round tender. Someone has to pay you a 4th round pick and pay them to take him from you. Otherwise, it's a super cheap contract. So that's going to be really easy to bring back. Martin Emerson had a couple good years at the beginning of his career, has been really bad ever since. Corey Bajorquez is one of the better punters in the league. Tevin Jenkins, always hurt. Devin Bush, Ethan Posick, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, David Njoku, Cam Robinson.
Yikes.
So your whole offensive line, your tight end who was basically your franchise tight end before, your amazing punter, and then 2 secondary starters. That's like, what, 8 starters that you're losing?
So if we're looking at this realistically, I think we have to bring back at least one offensive lineman, right? Like, obviously,
we can't afford it unless we like Ethan Posick, maybe.
Obviously, spoiler alert, we're gonna be drafting a couple offensive linemen, but there's only so many draft picks you can make and start right away, right? So I feel like we have to bring, like, we have one starter on the line right now.
No,
we have none.
No guys I want to start.
Right, but we have one starter from last season.
KT Leviston, I think.
Right,
He's
so
like their worst lineman.
But like, what else do we do? Like, we don't have any money.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what they do in real life. Like, I feel like we just have to bring back at least one of the linemen, even though they're not very good.
Or we could sign one in free agency. See if
with
like
what money?
Yeah, well, with what money for them in right now?
Right, but it's a re-signing.
We could go to free agency. We could just go into free agency and get like a crappy guard and be like, oh, hopefully he's good. These guys are gonna want way too much money.
That might actually be the play.
So I think we have to bring back Ronnie Hickman. It's gonna be like $2 million, and he's a starting safety.
I'm good with that. So then we have like $1 million.
Okay, we're gonna have to find a punter for free.
Maybe draft one in like the 7th round, or pick one up in undrafted free agency.
Okay.
There's probably one out there. You're losing like the best punter in the league, though. One of the best.
Holy glaze.
So,
but Martin Emerson hasn't worked out, so you're obviously not gonna bring him back. Tevin Jenkins is probably gonna want like $10 million. Devin Bush might want like $14 million.
I don't think we can afford Devin Bush, which is sad because he's good. But at the same time, if JOK comes back healthy, it's completely fine. Because you've got him and Carson switching.
I don't think he's going to come back healthy.
I don't either, but like at this point, the chances of him coming back healthy are a lot better than the chances of us being good if we spend money. So
yikes. Yeah, and then Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller are both going to want bigger guard contracts, even though I think Teller's been absolutely terrible.
So you think we let all of these guys walk?
We can't afford one of them. We have $1 million.
So we let all of them walk, except Hickman. And then we go to free agency and we go sign like a crappy guard or something with a backloaded contract.
Yeah.
I think that's our only option. Is there any cuts we can make?
No. These contracts are so bad.
Dude, why is the GM still here?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't get rid of him. Okay, you know why he got saved? This draft class that you just had was really good. Because they got...
Okay, bring him on as like a draft guy, like a scout or something.
I don't think he'd like that. He's like, oh, you just fired me and gave me a crappy job.
But yeah, but he sucks at his current job.
I mean, he drafted like 5 starters in this last draft.
Yeah, but...
including the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do with the draft if once their rookie contract is up. You just give them the most ridiculous contract of all time and then lose them. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, this GM sucks at his job. Hire us.
I mean, I think Browns fans might like him, but I feel like he just saved his job with that last draft, which anyone, let's be real, you click random buttons, you have 8 years, you could have one good draft.
Right.
Like, it's not that
You
hard.
click random buttons.
Yeah, you say, let's just draft this random dude. Ask a random dude on the street, who do you want? Like, that would work, and you'd have, like, one elite class.
Who do you want?
Yeah. I mean, you could do what Harry Roseman do. Like, just put it on auto draft. I'm just saying, like, having one good class doesn't make you a good GM, especially when you have all this contract. You got Deshaun Watson, all this stuff hasn't worked out.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
But the biggest needs we have going into this offseason, going into free agency, quarterback, I don't know what we're going to do about that. We have some options. Receiver, offensive line, every single position, and corner, which it's a need. But at
not
this
as big of a
point,
need.
like day 3 pick maybe, like,
Because
you just have to invest.
You've got
in
your number
everything
one
else.
corner, right? The biggest need is obvious.
And they also have Tyson Campbell.
Oh yeah, so you're not in a bad spot.
That's like their worst position on defense.
Right,
That's how
but their
good it is.
offense, I mean, offensive line's obviously the biggest need probably, but wide receivers also obviously the biggest need. So like it's kind of confusing because they're both massive needs.
You need 2 receivers and 5 linemen.
Yeah, so it's got to be 5 linemen. It's
Those
the
are
bigger
impossible.
need. Also, linemen's are like a more important position for, especially for young quarterbacks to thrive. Like you need someone that can protect them for more than 1.5 seconds. So,
I mean, Shador led the league in time to throw. So
yeah, I don't know what I have
don't
to
know
watch
how
this.
that's really possible.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
But also, all the linemen that were blocking for him now are kind of gone.
Yeah, so I guess that's not gonna stay, unless
Okay.
unless he's just like really good at extending plays. But
All right. Our only receiving option that's okay is Jalen Naylor. We don't even have enough money for Jalen Naylor, so I'm not going to go with the receiver. I'm going to quickly see if there's a budget guard.
yeah, we just need anyone. I mean, what do you mean by budget guard? Like terrible guard, like backup that we're gonna be starting?
Well, we have Zach Zinter, who they drafted in the 3rd round a few years ago.
Yeah, well, he's gonna start.
He was not good.
It doesn't matter. No, we don't have
Luke
good
Whippler
options.
Luke Whippler fell in the draft a while ago, and they got him, and he ended up being not very good either. So,
let us know in the comments what you guys would do with no money in this situation.
all
'cause
right,
it's just
scrolling
such a
all
weird
the way
free
to the
agency.
bottom. Okay, we could bring in Jamari Sawyer out of the Chargers. Not sure we want to take a lineman from the Chargers.
Any lineman.
Cole Strange had some good years in New England. He's on the Dolphins now, so I assume they're not bringing him back because I didn't even know he was there.
Right, I had no idea.
So I think that wouldn't be a bad one, honestly. He's only 27, former 1st-round pick.
that's
what
the
that's
headline.
worth.
If the Browns sign him,
Browns signed
sign
former first-round pick offensive lineman to block for Shador Sanders.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be.
Dylan Parham, he might be even too expensive.
He's on my Madden expansion team.
Yikes. Ed Ingram's going to get a decent contract, so not him. Out of
Cole
guys,
Strange is definitely the best option you've listed.
yeah, and he's literally on the Dolphins. He didn't make it through his rookie contract on the Patriots, so I think he'll be pretty cheap. So what?
Well, he's not good.
$3 million a year max, backloaded.
Oh my god.
Bro, we're backloading a $3
3-year
million contract. But yeah, sure. I feel comfortable with him being their best lineman right now. Like I feel comfortable saying that he would be.
That's really bad. I don't feel comfortable having that the case.
Yeah, no.
So
not
that's
at
our
all.
free agency.
Good free agency.
Good free agency right there. We signed Cole Strange,
Who the Dolphins picked up on like what waivers?
Dude, this is the weirdest rebuild of all time. We're gonna have to kill the draft, and I mean like kill it. So
And with that being said, that's what we got up next.
yeah. So we're now going to do the mock draft for the Cleveland Browns. 3-round mock draft. They have 2 first-round picks, which is interesting thanks to the trade with the Jaguars last season. And they started off at number 6. And I think first thing we got to look at here is obviously wide receiver. I mean, you got some good options.
All the receivers are here.
All the receivers are here, and you've got some good options. First up, you got, Mekhi Lemon's really liked right now.
I love Mekhi Lemon. I think he's the best receiver in the class, but
I
he's not an outside receiver.
PFF loves Mekhi Lemon too, correct?
Really?
Or Trevor? Is it Trevor?
I don't know, but on their board, he's 3rd.
He's 3rd out of a 3? Okay. Well, I know that, Mekhi Lemon's obviously drawing a lot of comparisons to Amon-Ra St. Brown since he went to USC. He's playing in the
He's
slot.
way more juiced up, way more dynamic, and obviously, I don't think it's going to be hard to be as much of a dog as Amon-Ra St. Brown. The mentality there is insane. I think it's kind of weird to compare anybody to him.
And I think that's a big reason Amon-Ra's so good.
Mekhi Lemon's more toolsy, so I just don't think it's a very good comp. It's really lazy.
It's because it's
two
slot,
USC wide receivers.
Right. But, if you want to go after a slot guy, this is obviously the pick here. Very shifty route runner. He's very good at route running. He's just a very good overall receiver.
He does everything right. He's just like 5'11".
Yeah, which is fine for a slot, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
obviously it's not like a size concern in slot, but how valuable is a slot receiver?
That's
NFL
probably why
does
it's
not
pushed down
value
a little
them.
bit compared to a guy like Carnell Tate, for example, who's looked very good this season next to Jeremiah Smith. Biggest concern for him doesn't have anything to do with his position, but it has something to do with where he played, which is Ohio State. Next to Jeremiah Smith is concerning. I mean, having that experience,
The Browns, you might get double teamed every play, dude.
right?
Like
Like you played as the number 2 receiver. You're never the first look. You're never the first look from the defense, right? Like you're not getting their best defenders. And while I do think he's talented, and I do want to watch more of Carnell Tate because I'm interested in him, and he's very high up on people's boards. that's the concern, you know. You know you're the Browns. You know that you have no other receivers. You know that he's going to get double teamed. You know that he's going to play their number one corner. I mean, does he really have a chance against those guys is what you're trying to decipher.
I don't know.
And that's a tough decision. And then their last option is obviously Jordan Tyson, who I believe is one on PFF's board.
Oh, he's one on most people's boards.
And very well liked, 6'2", I believe, ex-receiver that, you know, I think is kind of what the Browns need in a sense. Like, yes, Mekhi Levin's very talented, and even if he's your favorite, he is that slot guy.
Yeah, he's only going to work for some teams, at least at the top of the draft.
And for me, I actually do think that slot receiver is valuable. Like, I think that
it's super undervalued.
In some situations, slot receiver can be as valuable as the X, only if you have a certain type of quarterback, right? Like for Jared Goff, slot receiver is more valuable than the X because he throws to it all the time. And that's like his play style. We've got, you know, if you're starting Shedeur Sanders, don't draft Mekhi Lemon. That makes absolutely no sense, right? Dylan Gabriel, on the other hand, that might make some sense.
Like just checking it down instantly.
Right.
Quick slants every play.
So it just depends what your team is. And our team is undecided. So that means that we need the most common one, which is obviously X. People are going to be comfortable playing with an X receiver. That's how you're growing up, being taught really and stuff. So I think it makes more sense to look at one of the two X's here, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think Jordan Tyson's a more complete receiver. He's a way better route runner, in my opinion. He moves really well. The problem is every season he's had a major injury. I don't like that. Browns probably need a guy who can just stay healthy. I think, in my opinion,
ball though.
Yeah, in my opinion, if you're going with an X receiver, I think he's the best option.
100%.
But the overall best player is Mekhi Lemon. So
it just depends what the Browns are looking for here.
And Jerry Jeudy plays a lot in the slot too. He plays inside, outside. You know, you might want a guy who can just play.
And he can play good in the slot too, especially like we've talked about multiple times. If you can just get him to focus up, which probably isn't going to happen, but like if you could have him in the slot with Jordan Tyson on the outside. That could be really, really nice. So. I think that Jordan Tyson would probably be my vote just because it makes more sense for the team that we're drafting for, even if you don't think he's a better player. But I do think that I think some people would expect us to take Carnell Tate because they like him. There's some people that have him over the other two, but it's just even with the injury, like including the injury risk, I think Carnell Tate's even more risky because it's so scary for me to take a guy who played a number 2 role in college, especially like I don't think he was like that crazy in the number 2 role. You know what I'm saying? And so
a lot of it's based on talent.
And so that's a little concerning compared to like a guy that was the number 1 in his college.
Yeah, it's hard for me to take a guy who's not the most toolsy. Obviously got a lot of great tools, super athletic, but he's not as athletic as I'd like to take a guy at 6 who's never been the number 1 receiver.
Right.
You know?
So I think we're going Jordan Tyson here.
I think the medicals, you need to make sure the medicals check out, and if they do, I think Tyson's going to be a great player.
Yes, and so we're going to Jordan Tyson. Mekhi Lemon, obviously, whoever goes and takes him is going to be very happy. Just the Browns, it doesn't make as much sense for them. But they need a receiver really freaking bad, and we believe we can get their other needs right here at these picks. So the second pick's 24, I believe, right? So we're obviously looking at offensive line. I don't think that there is a debate about that. If you're not taking with the offensive lineman with the first pick, then you're taking it with this one, right? And I think with this class, it actually makes more sense to wait and take that receiver because there's 3 very good receivers at the top, and I think there's quite a few linemen from mid to late first round that you can discuss. So let's start off with Caden Proctor because I think that's the highest on PFF's board. He's interesting. He's massive. He is a big boy, and he's had some struggles playing when we watched the Oklahoma game, I believe. And what's the edge rusher's name?
Thomas.
Yes, Mason, who looked amazing in that game, by the way, which that'll be a conversation for a different rebuild, but very good player. But he got destroyed by him. I mean, destroyed. And Mason Thomas is a little small, and he was shoving him out the way. Like, he wasn't even only winning with speed. He was beating him with power. And that's concerning for a guy who's like 6'7" and 300 something pounds. I mean, that is very concerning to me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I've not liked what I've seen from him. He obviously has all the tools that are needed, but his tape is very sloppy. I don't like how his hand movement stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. He just doesn't get his hands on the pads the way I would like to see a first-round lineman do it. Obviously, you're taking a flyer on this guy. I just don't want to do that in the first round when I need a guy to be day 1 my left tackle, which is what we're looking for.
It reminds me of when Amarius Mims was coming out, where just
Mims was even more talented.
Right, but just the big guy with tools that you could take. Like if you could develop him, he can be an elite tackle.
Yeah.
But you're just hoping that you can develop him, and that almost never works out. For being,
It's not looking like it's working out with
Mims
Marius
looks
Mims.
horrible. So the Browns can't afford to do that right now. They just need to take the most technically sound, in my opinion, tackle.
Here, there's no technically sound tackle.
Right.
I think Maui Noah is the best tackle in the class from what I've seen, but obviously he went way early in the draft, and I think we need to prioritize that number one receiver a bit more than best tackle. But I like Caleb Lomu, who's still here. He's got a lot of tools, and he's shown the refinement that Caden Proctor has not shown.
Right.
He did play on Utah's offensive line, which is really good. They've already had, what's the other dude's name? The other lineman, I can't remember it. That's so embarrassing. Anyway, he's like one of the top tackles in the class. He's supposed to go top 10.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know.
So having both tackles go in the first round is pretty impressive. But, I mean, it's interesting because, in my opinion, I think we saw a lot of it last night. If you've got a tackle that's supposed to be a good prospect or supposed to be very good, right? For example, what's his first name? It's Caden Smith. Is that what it is?
Carter Smith.
Carter Smith. Sorry, Carter Smith on Indiana is supposed to be a third-round prospect, I believe. He was very good this season statistically, and so they matched Ruben Bain on the other side. They put him on the other side and say go against the other tackle because you can just take advantage of that. And obviously, Carter Smith also just got beat last night. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, but Messidor is also
Messidor's
a day
also,
2 prospect,
right?
For sure.
Like he's obviously good, but I mean Ruben Bain's obviously the better one, right? And so. Elite pass rushers, especially nowadays, more and more, they can switch sides very easily. They can play from both sides. You see Micah Parsons rush from both sides all the time, right? And so I think that there is some difficulty to playing next to another elite tackle because you're not next to them. You're on the opposite side, right? Like you're not helping each other. When you play next to an elite guard, you obviously are going to have that help, right? And that's going to make you look better as a tackle. I think there's some argument to say that it's even harder to play across from an elite tackle because you're going to get matched up even more against those elite pass rushers. And so because of that, and he's still been able to look good, he's got the tools, I think this would be a really good pick for the Browns.
Yeah, I think that's where we got to go with this. We need a tackle. I don't think Proctor is worthy of a first-round pick at all right now.
Right. So I mean, that literally would only be because of his size. So I completely agree. I think this is the route we go for the second first-round pick. And they pick in how many picks is that? Like 14 picks in the second round. Second round, 6th pick, correct? So I think that we have to look at another lineman.
Yeah, so right now, I don't know who's playing right tackle for us. What are we going? Left guard, Cole Strange, center, Luke Whippler, right guard, Zach Zinter, something like that.
Oh my God, so bad.
Yeah, but I think tackle's a more pressing need. Right here, the 2 top tackles, Jennings Dunker and Caleb Tiernan. I mean, I don't know if taking a second-round tackle and starting him immediately is an interesting choice.
Especially when you're starting a tackle on the other side.
We didn't have a choice, so that's what we have to go with. We could also take a guard, one of the best guards in the class. Emmanuel Pregan is still there from Oregon. I believe we took him in our other one that we just did for the Raiders. Good prospect there. I think he's a better prospect than these 2 guys, but he plays guard. We need to tackle a lot more. Do we want to wait till the 3rd round for a tackle, or should we take one here?
I think it's interesting because I don't know. Obviously, it's going to take more scouting to figure out which one's the best, like if it's worth waiting to the 3rd round to draft one. But ultimately what it comes down to me is there a player at this spot that we'd want to take really badly, or is there a player in the 3rd round that we are also good taking at a different position? Because ultimately you're taking a flyer on a 2nd or 3rd round tackle, and those don't work out too often, especially when you start them right away. And so since you're taking a flyer either way, it's about the other spot for me. Like which other of these high value picks are going to make a bigger difference and are worth more value. And then you can decide where to go from there. Like, do you wait on the tackle based on this guy being that much better or something, right? So, obviously I think that the Browns are going to be looking at some point to draft a 2nd receiver in this class, whether that's later or
next pick.
The next pick. So, you look at the receivers available. I know people really like Elijah Surratt. People have been moving Omar Cooper up the board recently. But I don't really know who's even there in the 3rd round for receiver.
In the 3rd round, the only receiver that I think would be worth taking is Zachariah Branch, who I do really like.
Oh, right.
The tackle, I think Carter Smith is a tackle who's going to go around there. Take a center. Jake Slaughter is also around there. Isaiah World, the huge lineman.
Yeah.
Want to take him?
Well, brings up an interesting point because I remember watching Branch. That's the Georgia receiver, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Zachariah Branch. So he seemed really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the Ole Miss game, he played amazing, like amazing. And I remember McKay texting me during the game, and be like, "I love this guy." So I do think that like that's an interesting pick if he's there at the third round pick, and we haven't taken receiver.
Yeah, I've seen someone say he was a projected first round pick. He is not. I don't know. I think it was like Tom Pelissero or something. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But I'd be surprised if he's there in the third round. I just think PFF doesn't like him as much as other people. But
so maybe we look towards his way at this pick, which might be way too high, but maybe where he goes more likely. Because you think he'll be there in the second round instead of a third.
yeah, maybe not this early in the second though.
But
At this point, there's still a lot of other receiver prospects here.
that you think are better.
Omar
Brent.
Cooper's better.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't hear anyone talk about Omar Cooper because they all think it's Surratt's better.
Okay, that's their loss.
Yeah.
We already have an X receiver.
I know that you're a big
slot
fan
guy.
of Omar Cooper, but then I guess you could rotate Judy. him.
And both of them could play outside
Yeah,
too.
right, like
Just
they can
rotate
just-
everyone around.
which
Vaughn could get in a little bit.
That would be an interesting receiving core.
Mhm.
But I think, to me, it makes sense, like, depending on the receiver you want. But, like, I think that you could take a receiver here and it makes sense, and then you take
Mhm.
a tackle in the third round, like Carter Smith, maybe?
Carter Smith allowed 6 pressures this year, and I don't know how many he allowed in that game for Oregon, but that was not Oregon,
For Indiana.
like against
Miami.
Miami. But that was really bad. Did not like what I saw. Obviously, he was going against a 25-year-old NFL prospect. I mean, I don't think that's not
Reuben
really
Bain.
fair, but I still would hope if he had a great game there, he could have catapulted himself way up the boards.
But for a third-round prospect to have 6 pressures allowed the whole
Mhm.
season, obviously we have to go watch the film. But
no hits, no sacks.
Right, but that's an insane statistic,
Mhm.
like ridiculous statistical season. Let's say he allowed 8 pressures in this game.
Mhm.
He allowed 14 on the season now in
Mhm.
16 games. So like taking the third round flyer on him for this team
Mhm.
sounds pretty
Yeah,
promising
he's
to me.
supposed to be a higher floor player. Like he does not have great tools. He's a bit smaller.
Right, and he
So-
doesn't seem that athletic. But
Yeah, so that's more of a guy that you want to throw out there immediately, rather than maybe an Isaiah World, who's just this huge guy that you're trying to teach how to play lineman.
so maybe it makes sense to discuss once again the receivers at this spot, and then take Carter Smith with that third round pick and be like, bam, we got 2 starting receivers, 2 starting linemen. We're going into the season. These guys are all playing, and we're gonna hope that they're pro ready.
And
and
then
Carter
we
Smith,
got-
like you said, higher floor, something that helps with them all trying to be pro ready, and hopefully you scouted well enough.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, you have to hit on like all of these picks.
Right, just to have a chance this season
Mhm.
of winning like 4 games.
I mean, they won like what 4 games this year.
Yeah, and their offensive line just got way worse. so pretty rough spot.
Disrespecting Cole Strange.
No, I don't think so. I just don't think he's that good. But
We had to bring him in.
I really like Branch, like you said, but I honestly haven't watched too much Omar Cooper. He looked
Mhm.
really good after the catch yesterday. He caught a couple balls, broke some tackles, and I know that he's caught a lot of touchdowns for a slot. He's caught, I think, 13. It's a lot of touchdowns for a slot
So
receiver.
Rats only caught 15, and their main red zone receiver
Has caught like 2.
4, like Charlie Becker. Not sure how he's their main red zone receiver, but
So I don't know. I think that I know you really like Omar Cooper, so I'd be okay. And he makes sense with putting him in the slot after we just drafted an X. So I do think that's a very interesting look. But I think that Branch should get some more love. Like even if you think this is too early for him, I think he should get some love. And PFF should move him up their board because if he's there in the third round, I think that's an easy pick. So
who are we taking here?
you want to go with Omar Cooper?
Sure.
All right, we're gonna go with Omar. This might be too high for Omar.
It's going to be a bit higher than he goes, but I think he's definitely not going to be there with our next pick.
but you think he's worth it? So
oh, easily.
and I trust the scouting report from McKay. So let's go with Omar Cooper. We now have 2 receivers, or maybe our 2 best receivers going into the year, are both drafted. And you know what? This receiving core is completely revamped now.
Yeah, honestly, I trust this receiving core. Jordan Tyson, Omar Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bonds, Cedric Tillman. Not that good,
Harold
but as a number
Fannin.
5, Harold Fannin.
Like that's a good receiving core, and that gives you an opportunity to finally develop a quarterback and give them weapons that they can actually throw the ball to.
Hopefully, this line breaks out.
We'll see. We need a Cole Strange breakout, 2 rookies to look great.
And then 2 like third-year players who haven't played much or looked good at all.
But hey, if they all 5 break out, we could have one of the best lines in the NFL.
It's one of the best offenses if our quarterback could be elite randomly.
What?
Not sure that's gonna happen.
If our offensive line, right receivers, running back, and quarterback all play elite, then we're gonna be an elite team this season.
Yeah, everyone besides tight end because he's already great.
Yeah, so we're basically screwed. But we're moving on to this is our last pick, right? The 3rd round pick. I think we already basically discussed what we're planning to do here. But Carter Smith feels like the best option to me.
Yeah.
Again, really want to go watch some film on him because I really haven't seen much outside of the national championship watching him wise. But you can't deny the stats, man. That's good enough for me to take a tackle in the 3rd round.
Especially one that we want to start right away. Jake Slaughter is also here, who I like at center. But I'd rather have a bum center than a bum right tackle, you know?
Right.
So.
Very much rather that. So I just think it makes a lot more sense to take Carter Smith here. If we didn't need tackle so bad, Slaughter wouldn't be a bad pick, but we do. So we don't really have another option. We need to take a tackle. And it's not like we can go pick one up in free agency or anything.
We're broke.
Sign one because we're in debt. We're not just broke. We're in debt. So
actually, I think we're good. Just barely.
It depends how much we backload that one contract.
Oh, a lot. Everything's backloaded.
So I think Carter Smith's going to be the final pick of this mock draft to wrap it up. So do we want to recap it real fast?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, we have 1st round. We got Jordan Tyson with our 1st pick. Our 2nd 1st round pick at 24. Who do we go with?
Caleb Lomu.
That's right. Caleb Lomu. And then in the 2nd round, we went with Omar Cooper Jr. And then in the 3rd round, we went with Carter Smith. I think this is really solid class.
Yeah, I think Browns fans should be very happy, whether they like Shador or Gabriel. If you like one of them, but if you like one of them, this offense should be pretty good.
Right, and I think that this is the situation I'd want if I'm the Browns. You like in the sense of you could take a guy like Chambliss, who I like, but then you got to go into the year with 4 quarterbacks on your roster, and do you really want that? Or you'd have to cut Shador or Gabriel, and that's going to make people very upset. But if you don't like one of them, then I think that would be a decent pick. But with how many needs you have, I just don't think you can take another quarterback right now. And I think that you go into the year, you have Gabriel and Shador continue to battle it out, make each other better, hopefully. And hopefully one of these guys breaks out this season and looks good for you. And, because a lot of people believe in Shador. So if he's like that, maybe they can have him come out this year with this revamped offense and just look way better.
There's like a small population of people that like Dylan Gabriel.
It's like 5 people. No way we both.
Wow.
Dude, that's funny. But, yeah, I think that's honestly a good situation for the Browns. The defense is obviously going to stay elite. And now the offense is completely revamped. So, and maybe the coach fixes it all. So, want to go through a recap of everything?
Yeah, sure.
We have the offense. Our offense is either be Shador or Gabriel. You guys can pick in the comments, argue that out if you want, or the coach can decide.
Yeah, comment which one's better, Gabriel or Shador.
And then, oh no, we start a war in the comments. And then running back, we obviously have Quinshon Judkins. Wide receiver, we now have Jordan Tyson, Jerry Jeudy, and Omar Cooper. Isaiah Bond and Cedric Tillman being the 4th and 5th. You've got Harold Fannin at tight end. We did let go of David Njoku, so he's now the complete number 1 tight end. Well, he always was, but by himself.
For our offensive line, we got Caleb Lomu at left tackle, left guard. I think we're going to go with Cole Strange, center, Luke Whippler, right guard, Zach Zinter, and right tackle, we got the rookie 3rd round pick, Carter Smith.
Quite the offensive line we have.
I mean, maybe better than the injured one last year.
And then
They're all young.
On defense, we just didn't make changes because this defense is not in a terrible spot like the offense was. We did let go of Devin Bush. We brought back Ronnie Hickman. That was like our one player we brought back. So there's obviously that. And something I want to touch on before we get out of here is that Deshaun Watson, I think people might talk about, what if Deshaun Watson wins the battle and starts?
Yeah, we're not going to let him.
He's not playing. But also they're going to wonder why we can't cut him because I know that cap is confusing. There is something, you lose way more money if you cut him.
So what happens is in the contract, you cut him right now. In the future years, it'll just be gone. But this year, you get the entire contract. You'd have to pay him not $80 million. What is it? Like $130 million or something?
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. You lose $50 million more this year if you just get rid of him now. And it's not like you can just eat it and then pay all that. You have to get under the cap before the season starts. Every team does. or there's like a huge fine and you still have to do it or something. I don't know. There's like a deadline for it. So yeah, he's uncuttable.
Yeah, so there's not really much we can do there.
You could add void years at the end,
which is why we have to keep him on the team. But he's also not going to play because it's just a waste, and we want to develop our young guys. Hopefully he can maybe become a better person and develop our teammates, his teammates at the quarterback position. But is there anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
Well, that's going to do it for our Browns rebuild. We think this will put them in a better situation going towards the future where hopefully they can learn how to give out contracts correctly. Maybe they need to hire us as the GMs. Comment down below what you would do differently. Who's better between Shador and Dylan Gabriel, and what coach you would have brought in, because I think that's a very interesting conversation to have. And have a good one, everybody.